Zinc Comics presents, live from Darshan Studios, Exposition with Brian Payne. The god of manga, Osamu Tezuka, once said, "Comics are an international language. They can cross boundaries and generations." Exposition is going to put that to a real test today because we are going international. I'm joined today by Henry Jaepelt in Brazil. Hello, Henry. Welcome to the show.
Okay, thank you.
We also have Lorene Vilela here in the studio to make sure nothing gets lost in translation. Okay, welcome to the show, Lorene.
Thank you, Brian. I'm really happy to be here. This is a great show.
Okay. Um, Now, first off, Henry, I'd like you to tell us about what you do and to describe the Brazilian comics and zine scene.
Hmm. Well, this is a bit complicated. I do my zine since 1987, right?
Yeah.
And the scene, it's uh, it's complicated. Back in the 80s and 90s, it was a lot more fun and a lot more people involved, you know.
Yeah.
But lately, uh, it's a bit different. Many people left the scene, and not enough new people join it.
It's not as vibrant as it
So
used to be.
we're going slow.
Yeah. Well, I believe your wife, is it Fafa? Fafe?
Yes,
Yeah, she
Papa.
also creates comics, correct?
Yes,
Talk a
yes, it is.
little bit about your collaboration with her.
Well, the collaboration started in 1993 when we married. Okay, but I knew her since 5 or 6 years before that, because she is from another state. We used to write letters and send zines and all that stuff in the mail, you know. And after this period, we joined it. We married, and after that, we began to work together, doing zines or writing stuff to one another, make the drawings and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah, it's cool that the comics helped you guys get together.
Yeah.
My wife, I've known for a long time, but I reconnected with her by sending her one of my comics, and she wrote me a letter back. And in the next letter, in the next issue of my comic, I printed her letter and sent that to her. And after that, we started communicating. So that's kind of how we got together too. Love through comics. Cool.
Yes, it
Um,
did.
Now, I know I've seen something about Gibby Fest.
Yes,
Talk a
that
little bit about that.
that is a kind of a mini con, you know, in another state, more to the south, Rio Grande do Sul. You know, the city is called Alvorada. It's near the capital city, Porto Alegre. Uh, it is yet this year was the fourth year, and we couldn't be there this year, but last year we were there, and also got a little trophy for our work and stuff, you know.
Yeah. So is it mainly comics, mini comics, zines, or all those things?
All those things, and
Okay.
cosplay contests and lots of things related.
Okay. So it's basically a Comic Con. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
mini.
okay. A
It's all
small
done.
Comic Con. Okay.
Yeah, it's
I'm going to show a little bit of your work if that's okay.
okay.
Let's see here. There we go. Can you see that on your
Yep, yep,
phone,
you can.
Henry?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about those two pieces? What exactly it looks to me like it's 12th of October National Fanzine, but my Portuguese isn't
Yes.
very good. That's why I've got Lorene here. So tell me a little bit about these two pieces.
Well, the date is exactly the national date. As you understood it, it's okay. And the other one is just another drawing, not nothing in particular.
Okay. I stole both these from your Facebook page. I just wanted people to see your
Yeah,
work
no.
because I've always been really impressed by your line and the way you ink. That is my that is what I'm not as good at. You know, I'm better at penciling than I am at inking, and I
Mhm.
really think you kind of remind me of something you would see in Heavy Metal magazine, you know, and I mean that as a compliment, not an
Oh,
insult.
thank
So I
you.
hope you take it as such.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is, you know. I guess all the generation people like us, closer over 50, were had this influence of heavy metal magazines or French magazines, you know, Mebius or Drillet, all those guys, you know.
Right.
And of course, from the US, I guess I have some influence from Mr. Kubert and Mr. Wrightson.
Bernie Wrightson and Joe
Yeah,
Kubert, two greats, no doubt about it. Um,
yeah, I try to emulate some inking processes of these two. You know,
yeah.
I guess I fail every time, but
Well, we aspire to greatness and we're our own worst critics. But trust me, Henry, your stuff is really good.
oh,
Um,
thank you.
Now, since we're talking about other artists, I wanted to ask you mainstream comic fans in the US, when you talk about a Brazilian comic artist, they mention probably Fabio Moon or Gabriel Ba,
Yeah.
but few are aware of Lorette or Lorette. I only know of her because I watched a documentary on Netflix about this Brazilian cartoonist. Who's the more famous in Brazil?
That works on the U.S. market. I guess that would be Mike Deodato.
Okay, tell us a little bit about him. I'm unfamiliar
Well,
with him.
I knew him in the 80s as with his real name, which is Deodato Borges Filho, like a junior, you know, Filho, junior.
Okay,
He used to do lots of works for fanzines here in the south, and there where he lived in Paraíba state. It's in the northeast, you know. And in the I guess in the middle 90s, he began to work for the US with this alias Mike Deodato Jr. He
Hmm.
began, I guess, with Thor, and after that, some Wonder Woman, and but I guess he is best known for his work on the Hulk.
Okay.
Very
Um,
powerful images. And now there is also another Brazilian in the Hulk series, Joe Bennett.
he's
I know if you're
I live in Alaska, far from comic
it's,
shops.
yeah, it's a
So
more recent series, I guess. He is from the north, from Pará. His name actually is José Benedito, and he changed it to Joe Bennett. You know,
Joe Bennett. Okay, I'm gonna have to look
he
up both these
named
guys.
him as Bené, as
Bennett.
Benedito, short from Benedito. I guess these two are maybe the most famous, I guess.
Tell us about somebody who Americans wouldn't know, but every Brazilian knows.
Hmm. Well, that would be some 80s classics, just like Mozart Couto. He's from Minas Gerais, and Watson Portela. Watson is his first name, not his last name, as Holmes is sidekick, John
Okay.
Watson. Watson first. Watson Portela, and I guess these two. Deodato also started in the 80s. Benet also. I guess that this may be uh, one of the best team. These four guys.
Okay. Now, Lorette seemed almost to be more of a newspaper cartoonist. Is that true?
Yeah.
Are you
Laerte,
familiar?
Laerte,
Yes.
Laerte. Yes, and more into strips.
Okay. Comic strips. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
very good, very political, and but more into these media, strips, cartoons. Not really the comic books as you mentioned it. Yeah.
right. To me, comic strips are the more pure medium. They're like I've always wanted to be a comic strip drawer, but comic books are easier to make when
Yes.
nobody else is interested. So,
I agree.
um, how about uh, Angeli? Again, I apologize. I know I'm
Yes,
really
yes,
doing
I
bad at
know. I
your
know his work.
language.
He's also much more into underground uh, strips. Even his inking style is much more underground. It's more brute, not so. Laerti is more clean line, and Angeli is more yeah, typically underground. He has some more influences like Crumb or people like him.
Right. There was an animated feature film based on his work entitled Work Wood and Stock, Sexo, Oregano,
Oh,
and Rock and Roll. Are you familiar with that?
wood and stock, two buddies.
Y- Yeah. Oh, is that what it is? They're like two characters. One is wood and one is stock.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
He
good.
kind they kind of live in the past, and talk about past things, and their great children come up and ask them things, and well, it's all very cloudy.
Is is Angeli also from like the same era as R. Crumb? Is he like from the 60s?
No, no, Angelis is from the early 80s.
Early 80s? Okay. And
Yeah.
you were talking about where everyone came from. Could you just tell us where you're from?
Well, you mean the state or
The city and
uh,
state, part of
region
Brazil,
of
just so we know where
yeah.
we're talking.
I am here from we have three states here in the south, There is Paraná, Santa Catarina, in which I live, and Rio Grande do Sul. After that, you enter Uruguay.
Okay.
It's in
Okay.
the last corner here.
Okay.
Yeah. And my city, the Timbó. This is funny. It is a name taken from a plant. It's Indians used it to fish. They smash the plant and throw it in the river, in the water, and fishes began to be intoxicated, and they came up for fresh air, uh, and then they were captured. It's also known as should be. I don't know. I never try it, but it's like a. I don't know if I am saying this correctly, but it's in Portuguese we say alucinógeno.
Okay. Let's get Lorraine to translate that for us. Lorraine, can you unmute your mic?
It's a funny name
How
for a
does
city.
that translate into English?
Hallucinogenic.
Okay. That I understand.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's a funny name for a city.
So okay, that's an interesting story. Um, are you familiar with Jaguar, the cartoonist, not the animal?
Oh yeah. He is from the 60s, from Rio.
And
I guess his name was Jaguaribe, and then he shortened it for Jaguar. He was founder of the a kind of newspaper, Opas King. In the 60s and 70s, it ran, I guess, until middle 80s or something. I used to read it when I was a teenager, early early 80s.
I have a note here, Attila Voce e Barbaro, which I know I'm saying totally wrong, but do you know what that is? Attila? Attila?
Um, what's the name?
Lorraine, are you there?
Yes.
On our notes, number 3, the name after Jaguar
Yeah, Attila.
and the other part of it.
Bom, deixa eu ver aqui. São aqui, Átila, você é bárbaro.
Okay. Are you familiar with that one?
Not really.
What
But
does
it's
that translate into English, Lorraine?
It would be
barbarian.
something, yeah, like Attila, you're awesome.
Okay.
It translates barbarian, but we use that word as an expression, as great, awesome.
Okay. I thought the word was barbarian, so it must be kind of a Conan type
Mhm.
character, maybe.
Yeah.
Could you ask question 4 as well, Lorraine, in Portuguese?
Yes. Átila, o que você pode dizer sobre as publicações Balan, o Pasquim e Chiclete com Banana em Histórias em Quadrinhos?
Desses eu só conheci o Pasquim,
Uhum.
mais ou menos lá entre 80 e 83.
Uhum.
Cheguei a comprá-lo porque era um jornal semanal, um tabloide, né? Ele continha entrevistas, cartoons, quadrinhos, tiras, era muito politizado. Acredito que hoje poderia ser considerado de esquerda, né?
Uhum.
Porque ele também era publicado justamente na época do regime militar,
Uhum.
terminou em 85, então ele tinha um monte de caricaturas ou charges sobre nossos presidentes generais, né, como Figueiredo, Geisel e outros dos anos 70. E de lá, acho que temos cartunistas como o Jaguar, Ziraldo, o Negreiros, a Marisa, que faleceu, acho que esse ano, era uma das mulheres pioneiras na área de cartoons, um traço muito ácido, ela era muito vigorosa nos cartoons que ela produzia, né?
Uhum.
Outra revista também que a gente acompanhou foi o Chiclete com Banana, né? Eu acho que era a preferida da maioria, junto com os Piratas do Tietê. Também traziam muita, especialmente a Angelis, Laerte, e algumas participações do...
Okay, Lorraine, can you kind of translate?
Yes, I mean, I can try here because he talked a lot, but basically, Henry, you mentioned that you knew Pasquin, and Pasquin was an underground magazine, and from the left, it was during the military regime, and which ended in 85. And Henry knew Ziraldo. He talked about Marisa. He was a fan of her. He talks about her strong lines and things like that, the way she drew. And he was also a fan of Chiclete com Banana. And he mentioned, so you can help me out, Henry, because you talked a lot for a while. You mentioned some others that I can't quite remember the names here that you just mentioned besides Chiclete com Banana and Pasquim.
From Chiclete com Banana, the ones Brian mentioned earlier, Angelis, Laerte, and Glauco.
Oh, yes.
We did a lot of nice characters like Wood and Stone, stock alla ricotta, which was kind of a mentor, a guru, but he was only interested in getting money from people, and two little brothers known as the Scrotinhos.
Does that translate as it sounds?
That would be funny. Scrotinhos. And Rebordosa, which is also a great character. She was like a major junkie woman, and Bobby Cuspi, which was a punk, and Los Tres Amigos, it was a reunion of the three authors, everyone drawing himself. And I guess that was also a movie with Stevie Martin, I guess, Los Tres Amigos.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's the formula, that Mexican hats and clothes and such, and they are. I guess it was kind of a parody or something from that movie.
Okay. Were these comic books or were they newspapers, tabloids?
Books. Chiclete con
Comic.
Banana was a book in this a magazine size.
Okay.
Not the American comic book size. It was a bit bigger.
Okay.
Pasquin was just like a newspaper, the tabloid
Right.
format, a,
Yes.
bi- a bit larger, a bit larger.
I know that tabloid format because I sent you my newspaper, Zinc
Yeah,
comic
yeah,
section. I love that format. And I thought I heard you say tabloid, so I wanted to get
yeah.
that on record.
Mhm. Exactly, exactly.
Um, well, I would be remiss having you and Lorene on the show. Lorene, this question is for you as well. We all know about the current Amazon forest fire. Can you tell us, is that gotten better or worse, Henry?
Well, as far as I know, there are still some fire here and there. Uh, Government, I guess they're not really interested in doing something to stop it. Uh, this week also began on the northeast shoreline some oil, mysterious oils there. Nobody knows where it comes from. Uh, well, and the media does not give that much attention the issue needs, I guess. So
By oil, you mean an oil spill? Like there's,
yeah, and nobody knows where it comes from. There are no pipelines. There are nothing like this there. They are guessing maybe some accident with ships or something, but nothing has been discovered. So it's remains a mystery. There are a
is
lot
that per,
of strange things happening here with the rainforest and the fires. Really sad, really sad.
very sad? Yeah. Is there anything you wanted to ask Henry about back home while we have him on here, Lorraine?
Yes. So, what is the general public opinion about Bolsonaro? You know,
Mm.
um, thinking in terms of the fires in the Amazon and basically protecting the environment. Are people concerned about what's happening? What is the public opinion about this president?
Well, I guess not so good. Uh, he's a moron. But, yeah.
Well, here in America, they call him the Trump of Brazil.
Oh, I guess it's not far.
Well, if you called him a moron, you're being redundant to call him the Trump of Brazil.
I guess so.
Yeah,
But
it's the same thing. It
he has
amounts to the
this
same thing.
politics of denial, they acting if things are not that that big. It shows, it's just a little fire, just a little this, a little that, and Indians reservations are something they don't seem to care much.
Yeah. And then, Henry, I have one more question. When I was a kid, I loved the comics called Mônica e Cebolinha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who was the author? Who was the cartoonist for Mônica e Cebolinha? It was very popular for kids.
Yeah.
You might remember that, I'm sure.
Yes, it is more like a kind of a local Disney, very
Mm-hmm.
popular, but many of the artists and writers are not able to sign their own work on this series. It's almost everything signed just Mauricio,
Mm.
Souza, the owner,
Uh-huh.
But and now have, I guess it's 4 years now. He changed a bit his approach, and he's doing some graphic novels albums with
Mm-hmm.
invited guest artists, and
Mm-hmm.
they are doing new versions of the old characters like Monica, all the Monica's gang, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chico Bento, I guess remember them.
Mm-hmm.
Chico Bento, no,
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
and other characters as well. The latest one was with Tina.
Hmm.
As was a character a bit older.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, she's now a young lady, and she works on a newspaper or something. And I bought it, but I haven't read it yet. And there is also another one from a caveman known as Piteco, a short for Australopithecus.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting latest, I guess, because it involves oil in the Stone Age. Has a interesting message.
Hmm.
People are only interested in oil.
Wow.
Okay.
I'll
So
have to check it out.
so it relates to what we were talking about. I'm glad that Lorene was able to get us off politics and back to comics. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
okay.
kids, I don't know if you've heard, Brian, but kids loved Monica and Cebolinha. I grew up in the 60s and, in 70s. It was really popular.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll have to
it
check
is.
that one out too. That's going to
He
bring us to the
also
end of
did
the program.
a live action movie with the characters recently.
Oh, I
Also,
didn't know.
yeah, it is based on one of these new graphic novels, Lassos.
Hmm. Well, we'll have to check that out too.
Yeah,
Comics is indeed the international language.
Yes.
Okay, that's going to end the show. I really appreciate, Henry, you being here and talking with me. We've been Facebook friends for quite some time, and
yeah.
we chat some, but it was nice to actually talk to you and pick your brain. And I'm going to sign off now, but you two don't go away, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks again, Henry. Okay. This is Zinc Comics Exposition. And until next time, everybody, remember, think Zinc.